the audio on. Make sure that we could.
I'm really rooting for you also to that. This whole thing about
Okay. All right. Can I be heard?
Yep.
Hello, Corey. Hello, Nairi. Hello, everyone.
Everybody.
We'll call the meeting to order. It's 4:01 PM on Thursday, October 10th. And I certainly do acknowledge with respect that we are on Robinson Huron Treaty territory and that the land in which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bawatang. And Bawatang is the home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Métis Council. For adoption of today's minutes from our last meeting, could I have someone to move and to second the adoption, Andre, and thank you, Eric. Any additions, deletions, changes? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes of the September 16th, 2024 meeting? That is carried. Thank you. Anyone with a declaration of pecuniary interest today on our agenda items? Seeing none, we need to have the adoption of today's agenda. So once again, looking for a mover and a seconder for adoption of today's agenda. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Corey. And any additions to the agenda or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of today's agenda? That is Andre? Carried. Thank you. Sorry, I need to make sure.
Reading the minutes.
I'm not even gonna comment on that. Okay. So we have we have three things on our agenda today. We have 4 Green Initiative Fund applications. We have an update on the terms of reference task force update and Emily's staff update. So let us continue on. So I know Emily is going to now share the results. Thank you everyone for taking the time to read the 4 applications and to take your time to thoughtfully complete the evaluation worksheet. We're going to, I think we should go through each of them. Oh no, let's do it like this is how we did it the last time, right? We're gonna go through them one at a time. Emily, I think, has noted them in order of how they were scored, right? From high, so they're not in the order that they were in our package, but they're from how they were scored.
Yep.
So we'll do it in this order, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the score. And we'll do them one at a time.
Yeah, afterwards, like I'll do a bit of a summary, Donna.
Yes,
And we'll go
great.
through them, and I have questions that were
Okay.
asked by committee members
Okay,
as well as comments,
okay.
and we'll go through each one.
Let's go through each one of them and then we'll go back and yay, nay, etc.
Oh,
Does that work?
yep, that works.
Let's just because I think that I know, or it appears that you've got information here that perhaps we got back from questions, just so everybody's up to speed on everything, and then we'll go back and look at the funding request and apply that.
Yep.
So Emily, please go ahead. Thanks.
Okay, great. So, as Donna said, we received 4 applications to the Green Initiatives Fund. Just as a reminder, all those requests equated to just over $40,000. We currently have about 32,000 and change remaining in the Green Fund. If all the projects were approved today as they were submitted, we'd face around a $7,700 shortfall. As a note, we received an extra $10,000 added to the Green Fund. This came from a check from Enbridge for monies, sort of like a rebate that we spent on the deep energy retrofit audits. So we threw it back into the Green Fund, added to the pot essentially. So there were 4 projects. We received 6 scores. So thank you to the committee members who submitted their evaluations. I've ranked them here from the highest score ranking to the lowest. And the Sault Ste. Marie Bike Locker project came in at the highest with an overall percentage of 83%, average score of 4.13. Second place was FH Clerc with 81%, overall score of 4.044. Notre Dame so percentage of 72 and overall score of 3.58, and Habitat for Humanity, an overall score of 68%, followed by 3.42. So we're gonna go into each project here, give you a little bit of a summary and go into some more details. I have comments from all of the committee members who evaluated, as well as some questions that we received and answers that we got from the applicants. So the first project is the highest ranked project, was from the city of Sault Ste. Marie for the bike locker project. This aims to install 2 pre-assembled bike lockers, one near the Sault Ste. Marie Public Library, another near the Queen Street Commons, Queen Street Alley. The lockers will be bolted to the ground and will provide a secure place for cyclists to store their bikes, encouraging bike use and enhancing community accessibility. Each locker can accommodate 2 individual bikes. Users will supply their own lock when using them. The library and Outspoken Brewing Company have offered to support the city project to ensure no misuse by using a city supplied padlock to use on each of the lockers, to lock them up at the end of the day and to unlock in the morning. So overall, for environmental sustainability, they received a 4.3, same for community impact, financial analysis 4.0, and project innovation 3.8. Some of the comments from committee members were full funding, what can I say, great initiative. Full funding, much needed to support green transportation so people can safely store their bicycles downtown. No funding, padlocks are easy to cut, so I don't think this will do much to instill confidence in deterring crime or promoting cycling. Full funding, what is the plan in the event a bike is padlocked to the locker and the cyclist does not remove it? Parking division should be looped into this initiative to identify opportunities for planning safe, multimodal parking across the city, specifically downtown. Just to note, the applicant has been informed and the parking division will be advised. Full funding recommended, and not sure about the funding. Is there no cost to use them? What would there be in the future? So a couple of questions from committee members that I'm going to go into now with the responses from the applicant. So question 1, how does the lock come off at 7 a.m. on the weekends? The hours of operation will be based on the hours of our partners or city facilities. We'll put in hours of operation. Plan to start with restricting hours at the start to keep people from moving in. We'll monitor as we go. Question 2, how do you prevent someone from leaving their bike overnight? And what if it's not a bike? Not necessarily going to prevent it. If something's there for more than 24 hours, the city will come up with an operational process and a sign saying if something is kept in here for more than 24 hours, we'll cut your lock and here's the number to get your bike back. Question 3, are they going to be free forever? The long-term plan, if this pilot, which is what this is, it's a pilot project, goes well, we'd like to see how we can expand this into other areas. If there isn't a large operational cost, we would hope not to charge people as we want to promote cycling. The other models we were looking at weren't collecting the revenue anyways. There were different models, some that required, getting electrical to lock something in, having the users pay with with an app or scanning a QR code. There was another question. Are there recommendations in the city's active transportation master plan for bike storage? Can we recover income from that? Is there a budget to accompany the ATMP when it comes to council? I have reached out to the planning department and I didn't get a response. So if I do, I will let you know. What is the long-term plan for this project? We are piloting this out first. As part of the pilot, we will be able to understand operational challenges we are facing and work to correct them for greater expansion. We may end up finding the hours restrictive and then decide to open them up all the time without locks, as we said in the application. We'll be learning as we go, as we pilot this out and report back to council on how it works. And last but not least, what is the plan in the event the bike is padlocked to the locker and the cyclist does not remove it? We'd need an internal process to inspect. This hasn't been developed as of yet. The lockers are designed to allow you to see a little bit inside. There's a bit of a grading. So you'd be able to tell if there was something in there that shouldn't be. We'll put a process in place where either the library or Outspoken would report the issue and staff would investigate it. If something's been there for more than 24 hours, and we'll make a sign that says if the bike has been there for more than 24 hours, it will be removed. So those are the summaries about the bike locker application from the city. They are asking for $10,000, $625.29. I don't know if we want to have a discussion about that or need to continue going through that.
I think let's get the questions out first
Okay.
while we're in this,
Sounds good.
in each. And then we'll see where that goes from
Okay.
there. So there are some questions that have answers to them here that were provided upon everyone's reading. Are there any further questions from anyone at this moment?
I just have one sort of overall, if it happens that we are oversubscribed funding wise, is there a protocol in place for first come, first serve, or it is who submitted the application first, or?
So before we established the quarterly intake round, the process was you apply,
Yeah.
whoever gets in, right?
Mhm.
We don't have, and it may require a bit of a reassessment of how the fund works, to be quite honest. And how we deal with that. But up until now, it's been you apply first. But I don't think we could do that in this case. I
Okay,
mean,
so-
I can go into my emails and see who submitted it. Like which applicants came in first. I guess I could do that. But right now, we don't really have that. It's just if you get your, like, when we did like meetings monthly, you know, if somebody came in and they had a really good application, and they gave them the 50, well, we're done for the year.
Yeah.
We don't really have a process. We've never been there before.
First time for everything.
Yeah.
Do you have other questions right now? Andre?
My understanding is the city of North Bay has those. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
They do.
And did you talk to them, or did you have any feedback from them about any issues that they might have encountered? Because I think it would be very similar
Yep.
situation there.
So it's very new in North Bay. Like we're talking about a month that they've maybe been in use. In North Bay, they do not use padlocks. The lockers are located near the transit station, and if they're not in use, they're open. It's very soon for them to provide any insights. I spoke to their director of recreation. That's all I have at this point.
Can we make comments now, or do we?
Sure, go ahead.
I've looked at the website and I've looked at the different options for bike lockers, and one concern with that people cut them off. I look at the handle, it's actually made in a way that's actually quite difficult to do. So that's one comment. The other comment is that depending on the location of these things, that if there's any security cameras that are pointed in that direction, that would be helpful. And I think the other challenge will be if there's only one locker and 2 bikes, and you go there and they're full. You know, it's so I would have liked to see maybe 4 lockers instead of 2, but I think that, and the locations, yeah, I think certainly those are good spots for them. And I know for a fact that a lot of cyclists don't come downtown with their bikes because they're concerned about theft. I actually reviewed a lot of these over the years. And there are, like Emily said, there's some very expensive options where they use a telephone and they go and that thing. But when you look at the costs and the return on investment, I feel this is probably one of the best ones going. So I'm very supportive of this. My only comment is that I'm disappointed we didn't ask for more.
Eric, a question or comment?
Yeah, maybe Andre, maybe you can answer this. To me, like, I'm just not sure. How much more secure, like, what is the value of putting your bike in a box versus a really high quality block? Attaching it to a non-box, you know, just a
So.
Which would be a lot cheaper, these are $5,000 a piece.
Sure, so there's. What you have to understand, so there's different reasons people ride their bike, so the people who commute to work, leave their bikes all day. And whether protection is valuable when you do that, if the employer is not able to provide shelter by parking. Cyclists who are on a short term, like go to a restaurant or go shopping or whatever, and it's quick, that's probably not as necessary. So that's why I think you see those in transit stations where people will multimodal. So they go to the transit station, they go to work, they want that bike, and it's usually high transit type, lots of people, so that's why they tend to be there.
And that
So I
makes
think
sense to me in that location, but. Doesn't make as much sense to me in like a public library. Where
Right.
like two bike spots for $5,000 in a public library doesn't seem to me like a big deal.
Right, and I agree with that, that comment is that, you know, it's a supply and demand kind of thing, if. With the library, I think there's a conversation that needs to be had, and the other thing is, let's say they're underused. And there's an opportunity to move them somewhere, and these are definitely movable, like you can, they're bolted to the ground and you can move them, so. I think it's for the cost. And looking at the objectives, if we can demonstrate that they are well used and appreciated. Then I think there's a good argument to get one. Okay. And location also for the same.
Anyone else with comments? Nairi?
Yeah, thanks. I wasn't sure if you'd see me.
I think you're,
Um,
Nairi, I think you're muted.
We can't
Oh.
hear.
We can't hear you.
I can hear.
Can you hear me
I
now?
don't think we can hear either of them.
Cora, do you wanna say something?
I can.
Corey?
I can hear Nairi.
Maybe it
Hi.
is a volume issue.
Hold on, stand by, please.
There's a volume.
Nairi, can you type your comments just while we're trying to get this figured out in the chat, please?
Naira, do you wanna try saying something again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, where's the?
Can you hear me?
Auto work, I don't know, I'm just trying.
Can you look at her comment? She's typed something in there.
I'm-
Oh, Corey's saying there was an issue. Oh, he can hear her, but, all right, thank you, Corey.
And I'm going to go and try to find IT. So if you can take them out and ask
Yeah.
Nairi to type her comment in.
Nairi, could you kindly put your comment in the chat? Thank you, Corey. So that we could answer you. While she's doing that, although I'd like Emily to hear what I'm gonna say. Okay, so Nairi says from experience in working downtown, and for example, at the Bondar building, there are a lot of bike theft and it discourages people from commuting. So could I extrapolate from there that you think that this is, and maybe you could just write that in there as we try to get this fixed, that this is a positive thing that should help with that? International examples of successful bike locker situations. Is there something that so it's okay, great. So for clarity, and in case anyone's listening, so very positive, Nairi's saying very positive. There's examples of internationally. I know I observed quite a few, some as some were free, some people had to charge. As Andre said, they use an app. There's a code as opposed to a lock. There's just different things. If I can, one of the things that, and this is me who asked the question, because I feel like, I'm really happy about this and happy to see us looking to invest in additional cycling supported infrastructure. I feel though, like this is could be a bit premature because this type of thing should be, which I also believe is addressed in this active transportation plan that is going to city council in the next little bit, from my understanding. There's been public feedback, et cetera. So I'm wondering, and we don't have the answer to that here, but I'm wondering why
Hey,
this
we
particular.
can't hear people when they're speaking to us, so I tried, sorry.
Apparently somebody fixed it, according to Councillor Gardy, somebody fixed it last night very quickly.
Yeah, I see most of it.
I'm just wondering why we're not looking at something like this comprehensively with all the other things that are proposed in the active transportation plan. Cycling infrastructure, and I don't, you know, it just seems a bit premature, and we don't have the answer from planning, but those are my thoughts.
Naira, can you say something again? See if we fix this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What did you say?
Excellent.
I think it was just muted,
Wow,
so I turned up the volume.
okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
First of all, I'm super supportive of this project. I think it's awesome. Second of all, my question or comment was related to looping and parking. So I think to your point, like, where is the bigger comprehensive play here? Let's think about this from a holistic perspective and, you know, how does planning play a role? How does parking play a role? And we think more broadly about just safe parking in general versus cars versus bikes. So,
Right.
I appreciate your comments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I don't think there's anything else here in this item, and if not, we're gonna move on to the review of the number 2 here, and any comments or questions with that, which is the FH Clerg Tree and Pollinator Plant Project.
Okay, so FH Clerg has asked for $4,675.63. In their summary, thanks to the support of the school community and a grant provided by the city in 2023, playground at FH Clerg has slowly started to flourish with young trees. This project will build on these activities by adding more trees and pollinator plants to the school grounds. Administration, teachers, and students at the school will plant trees and plants. Volunteer parents and guardians of the students will help in organizing the project by picking up needed equipment and plants. Volunteers will coordinate the planting of the trees and plants. Algoma Bicycle Company will provide tubing for the stabilization of new and existing trees. For environmental sustainability, the average score was 4.2, same for community impact and financial analysis. Project innovation scored at 3.7 with an average score overall percentage of 81%, average score of 4.04. Some of the comments from the committee recommending to only fund $4,124.75, excluding beverages and food. Great program, but exclude the refreshment request. That's not what the fund is for. No funding. I really like this one as well, but they did receive funding already since we were already working with the shortfall. Perhaps this is one where they can look for donation seedlings from Oaktree, for example, or pollinator seeds from Canadian North. I gave financial analysis a lower rating for that as well, for that reason as well. I rate community impact as lower since there has already been a community impact on this project. No funding recommended, although this project scored high. I do not recommend funding it this year, given that this is a continuation of a project already funded by the fund and considering the shortfall of remaining funds. Full funding with the city. Will the city provide wood chips again? Was the school board approach to provide funding for this? Was the school board approach to provide funding for this initiative? Would support funding the infrastructure materials and omitting funding for refreshments. Full funding recommended. Recommend funding again for everything less refreshments. There was one question received from the committee. Was the school board approached to provide funding for this initiative? Yes, the school board is unable to pay for any improvements at the playground, including playground structures. They are not willing to pay for any beautification, even with trees.
Okay. Anyone with further questions? And seeing no questions, let's go to comments. Anyone with a comment here? Over and above what's already there? Okay. I'll make just one, which is, I see the thoughts from people about it's been funded already. In a different form. I see that the school board is unable to pay for any type of beautification. For me, and I'll just share this for people to think about, because clearly we're not all on the same page here in this application. I think that, the work that the volunteer group, the parents, the other volunteers at the school are doing to try and overcome the fact that the outdoor area is not where they would like it to be, and they're trying to do something about it, and they're giving of their time, and they're looking to our fund, or to, not our fund, to this fund for to support costs. You know, I think that that's very significant to show that people are putting their time and effort as a group, the teachers, the other parents and volunteers and so on. So I just want to put that out there for people to think about. Okay, if there's nothing further there, moving on to number 3, please. Emily. Oh, right, they have a city council meeting at 4:30 today. Thank you, Corey.
That's right. But we're still good.
We have 5, yes.
Okay. Okay. So the next application, okay, so they're asking for, this is for their hydroponic tower garden project. They're asking for $5,495.40. École Notre-Dame So is seeking green funding from the city to purchase 3 tower gardens, vertical aeroponic gardens with a plan to allow students to grow a variety of vegetables in a sustainable manner. This initiative aligns with the grade 3 curriculum on plant growth and changes, providing hands-on learning experience to the students. Once harvested, the vegetables will be used in the high school nutrition classes, fostering a farm-to-table approach and promoting healthy eating habits among students from JK to grade 12. The Sault Ste. Marie Tower Garden distributor, Patty Greb, has provided French and English lesson plans for grade 3 students, and she's offered to assist the school as needed. For environmental sustainability, the project scored 3.7, 3.8 for community impact, 3.3 for financial analysis, and 3.5 for innovation. Overall percentage is 72% and average score of 3.58. Comments from the committee. No funding. They should plant real gardens outside. These machines all end up in the landfill eventually. I do not support this application. Full funding. This is my fave. Huge impact when you start with educating, hands-on learning, and exposing kids to green practices. Full funding. Recommend funding $5,495. Where were other technologies considered for the aeroponic tower? Why was Tower Garden selected? Perhaps students could share their learnings at events such as CD Saturday, Sioux Market, etc. Was the school board approached to provide support for this initiative? Full funding recommended. Recommend funding $5,495. How do the Tower Gardens get funded in future years? Questions from committee members. How do the Tower Gardens get funded in future years? We can use our school budget to fund the project every year. Since it's part of the grade 3 science curriculum, there's no problem in using the school budget to buy seeds, whatever else is needed yearly beyond the technology. Question 2, were other technologies considered for the aeroponic garden? No. Question 3, why was Tower Garden selected? The response was they were contacted by a local vendor. Question 4, was the school board approached to provide support for this initiative? Yes. That was their response.
Questions from anyone? Being done, comments from anyone? Okay. Well, we'll get into that discussion then in a wee bit. All right, and last but not least, the Habitat for Humanity kitchen kitchen salvage program.
Okay, so the last application that scored the lowest, this was Habitat for Humanity's Restore Kitchen Salvage Program. They're asking for $19,283.31. The Restore's Kitchen Salvage Program aims to promote the sustainable removal and resale of kitchen cabinets and appliances. This initiative allows businesses and homeowners to easily dispose of unwanted kitchen items with no preparation required on their part. By salvaging and repurposing these materials for resale, in the restore, the program not only supports affordable housing efforts, but also contributes to significant environmental sustainability by reducing landfill waste. To promote the new kitchen salvage program, Habitat for Humanity is requesting funds to support a comprehensive marketing campaign. The goal of this campaign will be to promote the program, its environmental benefits and social benefits. Collaborative promotions with local contractors such as Sumil will help amplify outreach, while educational materials like pamphlets and banners will emphasize the importance of reducing landfill waste and supporting affordable housing. The score 4.5 for environment, 4.2 for impact, community impact, 2.2 for financial analysis, and 2.8 for innovation. Percentage is 68 and average score of 3.42. Comments received from committee members. No funding. I support what they're trying to do, but I don't think it's a good idea for the ESC to pay for marketing, and they want too much money. Partial funding. This is really a great idea to reduce waste. I would propose partial funding of half from city ESC, since it will generate so much revenue for Habitat. Full funding could remove stress balls and tablecloths if you need to cut funding based on gift budget. Impact of these items is low, so I made a note of what that would be. We'd still, if we remove the stress balls and the tablecloth, that would reduce their ask by just over $2,000, making their total ask around $17,000 as opposed to $15,000, and reducing our shortfall from around $7,700 to $5,600. So we still have a shortfall. Recommend funding $17,930.89. Unique funding request solely for marketing materials, not for the project program itself. Is this setting a precedent for funding operations for nonprofits? Is there a middle ground where the city can support partial funding for one-off marketing initiatives such as ATV, banner, etc.? Very well thought out measurements for program success. No funding recommended. This is a marketing campaign, not really the goal of the funding. If they are going to get $100K in revenue, then a $20K spend to get that back is a good investment, not a request for donation. Don't recommend as it's looking to fund marketing costs.
Okay. Anyone here with questions on this application? All right, seeing none. Anyone want to comment further? Okay. So going back then to the 4 applications. I believe, let's just take a look here. So I believe that there is, I don't want to put words in people's mouths here, so let me be very careful about how I interpret the comments and the questions that you had. So we will discuss, and then at the end we will put forward a motion that will specifically say we're going to fund this at this or not, whatever it's going to be. So we're not, because we make a decision or because we make because we lean into funding one versus or any of them, it doesn't mean that there's no just full and final decision made until we discuss all of them and we see where things are at. Because as was mentioned at the very beginning, the full amounts of these requests are more than the funding that we have available. So please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It sounded to me like there is support for funding the bike locker project in general. There was some concerns and we brought those forward. Is there anyone against, maybe let me ask this question. Is there anyone against funding the bike locker project, either partially or in full?
I'm still a little hesitant about it, but
Okay.
my hesitance is that it's probably not, I don't think it's the most effective way to spend $5,000 to encourage biking. But that being said, there are other people in the rooms that that understand the impact better than I do, and I am willing to concede to that.
Thank you. Anyone else want to comment on the funding of the bike locker project? No one is against it? Question? Eric, thank you for sharing those concerns. Okay, we'll move on to the Clerg project. We're gonna vote, I'm gonna summarize them all at the end, and then we're gonna have one motion that's going to say this is what we agreed to. I just want to get a sense
Oh, you
of,
don't wanna separate each?
no, because as soon as we take money out of the remaining money for one thing, it continues to reduce for others, right? But once we get to the end, if we're not fully funding, which it appears to me might be happening with one of these projects, then it doesn't become an issue. So rather, you know, like, I just want to get the sense of where everyone's at in total before we then say, and of course, anybody correct me if I'm wrong or if I am being misleading in any way. The Clerg application, again, there is some concern about it. Certainly a couple of people mentioned about not funding the refreshments, the food and beverage. It looks like the rest is half and half, like they already got some money, but let's do it, you know, let's do it again. So is anyone not in favor of funding the Clerg tree and pollinator plant project?
What about if we support a partial? Are you saying with full or nothing, or can we talk about?
We can talk about full or nothing or somewhere in between. Absolutely. Everything's on the table.
Oh, the comment was made about food, so
Yes.
and that was still agree that we should. For that, with regards to the fact that they've applied before, I don't disagree with that. I mean, in a perfect world, it'd be great because I think it's a good project. It's just, you know, we don't have unlimited money and that's something. If we have the money, then I think we should support it partially.
Corey?
I support funding less the refreshments. I think that's fair. I, you know, thought a bit about Andre, to your point about put down before, we're funding it again, but I think like ultimately we have to go back to the rules, right, that we made for this fund. And that's our Bible. I read this multiple times while I was evaluating. There's nothing in here that says if you've already applied to your report. So some of the comments around we shouldn't fund it because we did it last year, like, I think to me, that's kind of changing the rules of the game while we're playing it. So even though I think personally, maybe that is something that we can talk about for next year and when we're refreshing, but I think to be fair to the applicants, we have to stick to what the fund says right now.
Okay. Eric?
I think that's totally fair, but I do also think legitimately the impact is potentially lower. They've already.
Fair.
So.
Can you finish your sentence, please? The impact
The
is.
impact of the project, especially the community outreach, like this comment was made, it wasn't made by me, but it's a good point. The community impact is lower if we've already funded the project because the impact will have mostly already happened. So. For that reason, it should have scored it lower, but it didn't score it lower, so it still scored high, and based on your comment, which is completely legitimate, we can't not fund the project simply because it was funded previously. Then, I guess the point is that we should consider it based on how it ranked high, so.
Okay. Nairi?
Yeah. So I agree with that, but at the same time, I guess we're here to prioritize which projects get funding. And so we bring our lens to that table, like considering that, you know, like if and yeah, maybe it's not in the rules, but that definitely enters my thinking on how we prioritize stuff and how we can get the most impact for the funding. And I do think, like, I can't remember, I think it was like $6,000 in trees or $4,000 in trees. I can't remember what the total was. And I really did wonder, like, could they not ask for some donations, especially from Ofri and maybe even the Bug Lab, like they grow seedlings. And yeah, I just wonder if there's some leftover seedlings that they could use, and maybe they wouldn't be the exact species, but there definitely are ways to partner with other institutions to grow the seeds and seedlings. And maybe they're looking for larger trees as well, but yeah, I don't know. That was my kind of thought. Like, okay, this has been funded before, and maybe the second time around, there's more ways now that they have the project established to get those donations, because they can show, oh, we've already done all this good work. Can you continue to help support through donations? Anyways.
Thank you. Emily, can you enlighten us on that question about donations or seedlings versus, I got the impression, but I am not by no means an expert, that they were looking for larger trees to have a greater impact in a shorter period of time. Could somebody who, like Eric or Nairi or others who know a lot more about this than I do, is that how you're interpreting this, that we're not looking for small trees?
That's how I interpreted it. I don't think it said that directly.
It
That's
did
how I
not.
interpreted it.
Okay.
Like it's in the budget here, it says a red maple, the unit cost for the red maple that they're looking at is $285.60. I would assume that that's more of a mature tree and not necessarily a seedling.
It is noted in this, in the information they gave us, but I can't see, I can't read
Sorry,
it.
I'm looking at the budget,
Yeah.
budget.
Yes, the budget has, I was just looking at that too, so, for everybody's information, yes, it's 8 red maples at almost $300 per from Tranberg, which are, they're not mature trees, but what would be the proper terminology there?
Yeah.
Versus.
Yeah. And sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's okay, go ahead, Mary.
Like just thinking about that dollar, like it's I guess I don't know how big the tree is, so maybe it's quite a large tree, but when I think of buying a cedar for my yard, it's about $60 to $80. You know, like are there other options? I don't know. I will basically vote with the group on this, because I think I might be the one that is like, so I'll go with the majority.
Thank you for your comments, Andre.
Again, following what Nauri's, what we do at home is, we go in the forest and look at trees that be not grow very well, we dig them out, bring them home. That's, we move trees, and I think, I don't know if that's a reasonable comment or not, but this is what we do when it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is a bit of a different situation.
Yes.
However, any other comments about the FH Clear project?
Sorry, Emily, did you say, did they pose, you posed the question to them and they said
Yes,
that
so
they were looking for bigger trees?
I did not pose that question. I'm assuming, just based on my knowledge of what seedlings cost,
Right.
like when I'm looking at the unit cost, that is an assumption on my part. I don't know what maturity the tree is.
Gotcha.
I don't know, Eric, if you can comment on that, guy who works at Enerhan.
No, it's the same.
It's the same logic,
Yeah,
but I
it's
don't know
gotta be
for
large
certain.
trees.
Like, it's certainly more mature.
I'm making an assumption now, and it's based on the fact that it's a large green space and they're looking to create impact, right, in a shorter period of time in terms of, you know, more shade, more trees, more, that sort of thing.
That doesn't, just because they're big doesn't mean they can't get trees donated, but it's probably a little hard to make that.
It's fair. Yeah.
Right. Okay, are we good on that one? If we are, then let's move on to the hydroponic tower garden project, Notre Dame. So once again, it appears to me that there's more support than less for funding this project. I have a couple of notes here, relevant to, and I didn't say this when we had comments before, but, I didn't see any reference to Harvest Algoma in the application, and we funded something, but it wasn't a tower garden, but it was some kind of hydroponic gardens
have-
at Harvest
actually-
Algoma. And I only say that there could be some coordination between them in terms of working on these ideas. And from a learning perspective and a growing perspective, I do agree, I just want to add one little thing. I do agree that a real gardens outside would be nice. I don't think though that the real garden outside timeline works with school, and that's part of the challenge in our climate. And they have, this was my question about the funding in future years, they can fund it going forward, so it's intended to be, and they don't need more money in future years to be able to carry it on year after year in terms of the growing. So I'm getting the sense, is anyone, how are we feeling about funding this project? I'm not seeing anything that says fund less. I see one comment that says no, but other than that, I'm seeing we should fund this project. Am I misinterpreting these comments in any way? No, seeing none? All right,
Can I make a?
of course you
like,
can,
just
yes.
Maybe, I have a hard time with this because. We seem to have. Trying to look at technology to solve our environmental issues by. Finding our way out of it. And I remember when I was in grade school, I don't know about you guys, but. We planted a bean in a cup and we grew it at home. So we get the idea of growing things and stuff when you're in grade 3 and and then we planted it outside and. We had a conversation about having a contest about the biggest bean tree, so it kind of got us started, the objective was to learn something. But I know these machines, my wife bought one and it's sitting on the counter. Unused. And I said the same thing to her, I said. But she's a gardener and she does plant a lot of seeds in the house, and then grows them. By the window and then puts them in the garden in the spring, and I think that. You can't expect technology to save us from all our. Things, that's my comment. Sorry.
Thank you. So please don't be sorry. It's how we learn from each other, everybody's combined experience. Okay, so nothing further there. So moving on to the habitat project. So I am interpreting by the score and by the comments that this is definitely this is not a project that the group feels comfortable about funding fully in any way. And I think I do see some comments here with regards to perhaps some partial funding to help them get the message out about the program, but I also see we should not be funding marketing, period. Stress balls, banners, grass lawn signs, anything like that. So can I get a sense of those from those of you who are here? Because we're left here to make the decision because other people aren't here. Hello, you're back, Nairi. Can I get a sense of where the group is, please, in terms of how you feel about funding this?
I know that with the cycling club, for example, we when we put on events and stuff, our marketing. We don't pay for marketing because we do press releases and we have great Facebook presence and we'll get the message out. And I'm looking at that money and I'm going like, it's as if. Are they not utilizing what everybody else is doing? I mean, it's a great organization. I think what they're doing is fantastic. But what the money they're asking for, to me, that's not a good use of our funding. I think there's better projects that we can fund and they can achieve their objective without buying stress balls and advertising. And surely because they're such a great and well-reputed organization, I'm sure that they could approach Sue today and say, let's do a story on this, and people read that, it's powerful, people don't look at the commercials, they read the stories, and they can definitely. I know that Sue today is always looking for stories, and I just, I don't know what. I find that application very, rubs me the wrong way.
Okay. Anybody else make, Eric?
I think, I don't have an issue with funding marketing in general, because they're a non-for-profit organization, so the comments there about generating revenue and stuff, I don't think are really, I think that's a bit misguided. They're a non-for-profit organization, and what they put that money into are things that are socially and environmentally sustainable, so. But I think your comment is more that it's not a good use of the spending of marketing dollars, probably, right? Like, and so that's a different question. But there was comments there about we shouldn't fund marketing. I don't think that, personally, I don't see that as an issue. If you're marketing to get the message out, to encourage something that is going to promote sustainability, I don't see an issue with that. So I just want to put that out there. And secondly, I agree that it's probably not the best use of the marketing dollars. But I actually think that the impact is potentially high, because the waste generated by renovations is massive. And I think they're trying to reach contractors primarily.
Yeah.
And I think that they think legitimately that the approach that they're taking is the best way to get to contractors, rather than Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. So I'll put that out there. So that's how I interpret it, but it is a bit reading between the lines, because they didn't really articulate any of that, right? So I just simply because I know how wasteful renovations are. If this actually did encourage more recycling of that material, I think the impact is potentially really high. But I also score it low financially based on, I'm not entirely sure, I think I know where they're going, but I'm not entirely sure if it is the best use of money to get the message in. So I am in support of it, maybe in reduced funds, I'm not totally against it, I like the idea, I think it was an impact sustainably on sustainability is potentially quite high.
Comments?
Yeah, I really thought a lot about this application because it, Eric, like you said, it has such huge impact. And if we go back to our last meeting, thinking more about even social sustainability, it really, the application talked about the affordable housing element, it talked about the jobs and that element as well. And so I love the initiative and what they're doing. But I struggled with the question around marketing. And again, I went back to the fund overview about eligible project means any project or activity that demonstrates environmental benefits. And so I guess where I was unsure is marketing just marketing and not funding the initiative that we have funded and paired with marketing in the past? Does that fall as an eligible project? Emily, I'm assuming since you accepted it, it is eligible.
Yeah.
But then, I was trying to think, I feel like we have funded quote educational campaigns before,
We have,
right?
like the Invasive Species Center, for example, we've funded them a couple of times now. One was for like an educational workshop, and then I think we've actually, I believe, funded them 3 times perhaps. Once for that Himalayan balsam pull, and then they did a second Himalayan balsam pull. And there were components like including marketing, even like social media ads, right? Just to get the word out there. I think it is a unique application, like agreeing with some of the comments, because, the piece that they're looking for really is more on that promotional side, but the core of what they're trying to promote, as Eric said, is from a waste production standpoint, which is why it fits in there. It's not like or as easily seen as in the Invasive Species Center application. It's very different.
Yeah, so it's tricky, and I agree, Andre, with your point. I agree, Eric, with yeah, I think I'm aligning more with Eric in funding, a portion of it. It's great and I think it obviously would make a big environmental impact for our city.
Nairi, do you have any comments right now with regards to this?
I guess that I was supportive with reduced funding. And I guess my only other comment is, like, I just remember writing proposals and you propose, okay, let's go for 20,000 and then we'll see what we get kind of thing. So I feel like, providing them with something, I do think there's a big benefit to the program. And then they can maybe reevaluate, where they put the money.
Okay. I definitely concur that this could have a huge impact. I did a renovation myself in the last year and I took parts that were removed and I donated part of it to Habitat and the other part I reused them in my own kitchen. And I felt really good about that it didn't go to landfill. And I was conscious of trying to do that because I had spent a lot of time understanding better about renovations, et cetera. So it's certainly when you multiply this among all the people that are doing this type of work, it could have a tremendous impact in terms of what doesn't go to landfill and what can be used to supply cabinetry, et cetera, in affordable housing, et cetera. That's, so it's all really good. I wonder why though, that there isn't more conversation about, doing more to tie in with where people go to buy or source their materials for their new supplies. Like, to me, that's the place that you've got those people who are actively talking, working, planning, and getting that messaging through. I think Sioux Mill was listed here, but getting that messaging through those types of stores that are providing that product, telling people about the benefits of this and that sort of thing. So
If I can just speak to
Yes.
that, so I did speak to the applicant
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
And they're still coming up with a full list of everyone, but it's large.
Yep.
It's not just the people who are doing the construction, it's the entire stakeholder group. So
Sure.
it's like the Sioux Construction Association
Yeah.
as well, so.
yeah, but at the end of the day, the homeowner or the property owner are the ones who have to say, wow, I really should be doing something with this that's going to benefit the community as opposed to, putting it in a garbage bin out in the front of my house when I do my home renovations. And that's how I see it. And those are the people that are going to make the decisions to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm hearing that everyone, I believe, is in favor of a little bit of, or some funding to support this. So would anybody like to propose a number?
So I can give you a few just to play with.
Yes.
So 50% of what they're asking for, this of the total project request is $9,641.66. In addition, per comment, I think it's comment 3, there was a thought about, could the city support one-off marketing initiatives? So when you look in the project budget, CTV and Sioux Today are both the same price at $6,215 each. So those are 2 large ticket items. That could be examples of those one-offs for comments from committee members. So those are just 2 numbers that I'll throw out there.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody like to propose a number? So Emily just mentioned fund half. She also mentioned
One of the large.
removing the what is that, 6 and 6
Or
12, about
picking one.
$12,500, or perhaps it's a lump sum of
Yeah.
2,500. I'm just picking numbers out of the sky here.
Yeah.
$2,500, $5,000. some of these things are, you know, lawn signs are plastic.
There's some projects that we have. Like, it sounds like we've agreed to fund fully.
Yeah,
After that, how much money are we left?
if we
So
fund,
thank you.
so if we fund the city bike rack project fully, if we fund for less refreshments, and if we fund Notre Dame with fully, okay? We are left with, I just wanted to double check my math here. $12,091.13, and we do have one more intake round left in the year. So again, 50%, so we are left with 12,000 and change. 50% of the ask for Habitat is 9,000 and change. And 1 and 2, like an individual big media item is around 6,200. And both of them would be over 12,
12,000.
sort of 12, yes, 12,000. So going to Donna's comment about maybe even like a lump sum that the group may want to consider, saying, okay, we've looked at this all, you're asking for 19K.
Go ahead.
Just, I'll put it on the table, I'd support $5,000 for that.
So would I.
Yeah, I would too.
What do you think?
I think that's fine, but. Can they do anything with $5,000? I guess they can. Let me look at this budget again.
Yeah, like things like the trailer wrap, for example, is 4,500. But then a bunch of the smaller items, like those will add up quick, or you know, you got the stress balls. So, but the smaller things like the pencils, the fridge magnets, 4, 5, 6. Like lots, like quite a few things.
I think they could also look at ways of using that money to get the message out in a marketing perspective. I mean, it's it's their program to run, and they, they've obviously very much considered how they get that message out. But perhaps, if whatever amount that we would agree to, that then they could go back and look at that and say, what's the best use of this? Perhaps this is, perhaps it's not, perhaps, how do we get that message to the people that are then hopefully are going to make a different decision about what they do? Because that's at the end of the day, that's the goal, right?
So with that in mind, I'll just propose that should it be 6,215 to give them the CTV or SUTI today as an option. And if they don't want to spend it that way, because that's the exact amount of one of those options, then they could decide to spend it somewhere. But then I guess put it exactly at that amount, like encourage them to spend it. I don't know.
I mean, they can still use that money for anything they want. If it's a lump sum of $5,000, if that is what the amount is, they could use that for anything they want. They could put it towards traditional advertising, digital advertising, a little bit of advertising, plus some materials like they've noted here, like that could be their discretion. That would be their discretion to then say, we've got something, how do we do something with
And
it?
that's fine, so gave them 5,000, that leaves us somewhere around 7,000 that will be left for the next one.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I'd support that.
I'd support that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too. I still would put more money into this than the bike boxes, but again, I'm fine with it.
All right, so I believe we have come to a consensus.
About the buys the wrap on the
Bike boxes, Andre, there you go.
And then that suit today comes and take pictures of the bike box, and you get that.
Okay, so I believe then that leaves us with full funding of the City of Sault Ste. Marie Bike Locker Project, of funding for the,
All the numbers are here.
thank you, dear. So, this puts us at, I'm gonna do it in this order, so $10,625.29 for the City of Sault Ste. Marie Bike Locker Project. FH Clerg, $4,124.75, which is the funding they requested less the refreshments. The Notre Dame is full funding at 5,495 and 40 cents. And the funding to Habitat for Humanity, $5,000 even, so a lump sum. So with that, I need a mover and a seconder to then read this motion to support this. Thank you, Nairi. Do I have someone to second this?
Yeah, well said.
Andre, thank you very much. So be it resolved that the Environmental Sustainability Committee supports the request for funding from the CDF Green Initiatives Program for the following Q3 projects and amounts, and recommends that council approves the request. Notre Dame de Sioux, 549,540, FH Clerg Tree Project, 412475, Habitat for Humanity Kitchen Salvage Program Project, $5,000, and the City of Sault Ste. Marie Bike Locker Project, $10,625.29, all in favor.
Something didn't sound
Which one?
like 5,000 for,
Habitat for Humanity?
is that what you said?
I think so.
Okay.
It says that.
Let me double check.
Did
the
I say the,
numbers.
I don't think I said the, did I say the wrong
Yeah.
thing?
No, they're all there.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then I'm in favor.
Okay, so all in favor, thank you very much, that's carried. Okay, excellent, excellent, good work, everybody. It's a lot to think about, and you know, I certainly appreciate, and I know, I'm sure that the city appreciates the time everybody takes to really thoughtfully go through these things and think about what's the best things that we can do and how to spend that fund money wisely. Emily, over to you for the balance of the items here.
I just have to run, but I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you, Nairi.
All right, so just a couple of updates on my end. At the last committee meeting, we created a task force to address the terms of reference update. The task force did meet on October 3rd. We reviewed the resolution and confirmed direction to require applications in the future to have some level of evidence that their applications have considered holistic factors as they relate to Indigenous peoples of Hawaii. Those 9 factors that were included in Andrew's resolution. Andrew also provided the task force with an understanding of the background, like the presentation with information and learning. And discussions are underway to host a similar presentation with the rest of the committee. We'll be meeting again on the 31st to really focus on discussing how we can. Any questions about that update? Okay, that's for that, Donna. The last item is really the staff update on my part. A couple of quick things. Intake 4. I've changed this on the Green Initiative Fund. Changed it from December 31st to October 31st because our funding needs to be allocated by the end of the year. So if applicants have until, it's just a minor thing. So we'll be reviewing the final intake in November. So I've just done that myself. The city's corporate strategic plan was updated. It's on the website. It was approved by council on October 1st. There if you want to see it. The energy audit project is underway. We're really hoping that wraps up by the end of this month. Battery bus storage as well. That's still work going on. Tenders in progress being developed for the John Roads roof replacement to accommodate solar. Work is ongoing for transit solar project. The city of Sault Ste. Marie was selected as a cohort in local governments for sustainability or ICLE building to net zero project. This is something that really is exciting for me. They're going to support municipalities in adopting building energy performance frameworks. So really looking forward to their support on that. It aligns with something I've been trying to work on for years, green development of the city. Working on the sustainability report and the EV charger project is rolling. Hoping to have those 5 chargers installed by the end of the year, 2 at the Civic Center, 2 at Public Works, and 1 at Transit. And that's it. Next meeting is November 18th.
Can you go back to your report? Does anyone have questions? Oh, I don't have to talk to the camera anymore. Does anyone have questions? I was using my big voice. Andre,
The building to net zero project, can you expand a little bit on?
Yeah.
What that, yes, there's,
So IPLE, who I like to call the greenhouse gas genies, they're the ones who oversee they manage the program, the Partners for the Climate Protection, where we submit all of our annual emission inventories and community inventories, corporate and community. So they're really quick with questions about math, essentially. But they do other stuff, and they're international, but this is the Canadian chapter. And they launched a project called Building to Net Zero, supporting, you can read some of it here, so it's basically supporting smaller rural and northern municipalities with some of the barriers that they face when it comes to moving towards green development standards. This is an action in our GHG reduction plan. It's something that I really believe would be great. We're seeing a lot of building in Sault Ste. Marie, and it's exciting. Our population is growing, but we want to build better, right? So essentially, they're helping us with capacity. They're going to work with us to develop a report, to, help guide us to get there, holding information sessions, working with not just me, but other city departments and community stakeholders, including developers, architects, engineers. So we've just been told that we've been selected. I don't have any more of the details, but I'm happy to keep the committee apprised of our work. In addition to providing the report, they will help us with implementation as well. It's a bit of a lengthier project, so yeah, stay tuned, more information to follow.
I just,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's so
I think
exciting.
there's a list of the communities, yeah, here's the communities that are participating in Canada.
just to clarify, there's a difference, net zero and a passive design is different, right? So I'm learning this because I'm going through this
Oh, that's
process
right,
right now.
how's that going?
So, net zero means that your house or your building uses as much energy as it uses. Passive house means that your building doesn't need any energy because it's built in such a way that it doesn't require heating and cooling. So a high passive house design reduces the amount of energy. So, and the only way houses can produce energy right now is solar panels. And windmills, but I don't think that's very common. So typically, you can calculate your energy needs for heating and appliances. So typically, you would evaluate the heating costs, cooling costs of your home, also the appliances that you use, if they're good or not good, and then you. So as a homeowner who wants to build a house that way, I have to decide whether I invest more money into producing electricity or more money into saving the amount of energy I require for the house. That it's a balancing act. But for me, it was it's a very important distinction, although the two are directly related. So when people talk about net zero, I think it's important to clarify that net zero and passive design they're related, but they're not the same thing.
A good explanation for sure. This is something that I hope help this project. A lot of pressure on the project, but I hope it's something that can really help guide better building.
And honestly, the provincial and federal government, when the provincial government subsidized the solar panel program, net metering, not net metering, but so like I had a building, got a roof, and we produce more electricity than we use in the summer months, and in the winter time, the thing is, they paid us. The cost for us to buy electricity was like 6 cents a kilowatt, and the province was paying us 20 cents a kilowatt. Buying electricity.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So net zero from
Those
a
days,
dollar perspective was not exactly a balance. I'm very, very interested in what these programs entail, and I'm also very interested, because I'm making decisions right now in this whole thing, and I'd like to see both at the building department, and I'm working with contractors, and they're saying, well, there's code, but the code can change, and I said, I know that the city is reviewing the codes to, most people who build buildings, their goal is not about being passive or being net zero, it's about meeting the code and saving money. So the thing is, you change the rules of the game, and I think that there is it's a good idea to change the building codes to improve. Or we should encourage council to review this and ensure the building department to look at. Do they just follow the bare minimum of the building codes for the province, or do they actually go a level above? Because in town here, what happens is most developers, most contractors will build to meet the code. Not because they have altruistic.
And that's one of the benefits of a GDS, Green Development Standard, is it gives you the opportunity to build above and beyond. So some municipalities, will give builders a cut, for example, on a building permit cost, if they go X amount above and beyond. It's nothing new. So certainly something that we'll explore as part of the project.
But that, what the question I wanted to ask, because that was the item I wanted to ask about as well, is now goes to support one of our, I want to say, longer term
Correct.
goals in the letter that we sent last year, which talked about implementing green development standards, right? Those two things would be
You
tied
are
together, correct? So this is great. This is
It's a
great.
thing.
This is great. Excellent, 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 excellent.
So that's it on my end.
Okay.
Just-
And then our next meeting is, when is it? November 18th. So, if there's nothing further, yes, once again, it's very much appreciated that everybody comes in person. It makes for a really great meeting, when we can all see each other, face to face. So if there's nothing further, I need a motion to adjourn. So someone to move into second, Andre and Tori, all in favor. That is carried. Thank you very much. Excellent.